Hello, I'm Ron, and I work here at the East Indiaman Götheborg. We are making our own putty, and since we use a lot on board, we make it by the kilogram, and then kilogram after kilogram after kilogram in a semi-continuous process. So the first batch that I made is now being mixed, and you will recognize this equipment from the kitchen because it is a kitchen aid that we use. We borrowed a scale from the office, and we have two ingredients: linseed oil, raw linseed oil, and we have chalk powder over here, and we start with chalk powder, and we have 4 parts of chalk powder and 1 part of linseed oil, and all in weight. And we need the chalk powder, and since the scale is now put on 0, we can start here, and when I'm halfway at 400 grams, I will tend the dough maker. And it's just an ordinary kitchen sieve, a stainless steel one, and with the cup you just grind it through. And while you have to do this, because you have to do this many times, make sure that you make a proper workstation at the proper work height. We're at 320, almost there, and try to be accurate and do everything each time in the same way. That makes it easier later to assess where the problems are. 400 exactly. So the first batch looks like this, but when you dig in, you will see there's still powder everywhere, chalk powder, and that needs to come loose. And this big spatula you have to make yourself because they don't sell it this sturdy in the shop. And there she goes again. And now the next 400 grams. $600. 780, 790, 94, 96, 98, 800. And we have to mix this with the spatula for a second time, to be very sure that, and there's still some powder at the bottom, chalk powder, it needs to go in the mix. And as you see, it's very sticky, and it will stay like this because it has to rest overnight, and that's what you see very soon. this is the final result. I have to get this sticky mass out. First I try to make it into one blob. And now I grab a plastic bag, because this has to rest for at least one night. It's more or less like bread dough, although it doesn't become bigger. And here we have the storage. And this is what we've prepared yesterday. I'll bring the two with me for later. And then we will finish this batch, and after that we will prepare the putty from yesterday for putty that can be used on the ship. So what I do, I make a little hole in the center. Just like with bread dough. Make sure you put the scale on 0. And now the 200 grams of linseed oil can be added in the center. And I made an anti-drip color. That's very convenient. 150, 60, 70, it's going quickly. 198, 200. And now the mixing starts. And in the continuous process you would start to sieve now, but because of the explanation, after this we will continue with the old batch from yesterday. We are now in the situation that we stopped making fresh putty. It has to rest overnight, and so I have 2 kilograms from yesterday, and I rearrange here a little bit. So now first the putty goes into the big bowl, and as you can see, it's really a sticky mass. And since we literally started making our own putty yesterday, we don't have a proper alternative for the plastic bags. It's a fight. Because the disadvantage of using plastic bags is that quite a lot of putty stays on the bag, and there's no way to take it off. And with the first stage of putty making, 1 kilogram works best. I found out, and with the second process to make it ready for use, I noticed that 2 kilograms works much easier. Works much easier for the dough machine. Now I'm gonna weigh this, and then I'm gonna add 10% to the weight, and that should be around, should be enough to make a good putty. 2.3 kilograms, so 230 grams extra makes 540. Five, 20, 30, 40. Really good. Now we go to the mixer again, remove the hook. And in this process I'm going to do something that is usually not recommended. To take your spatula and go into the bowl, but if I don't do this, the mixing doesn't go well. Do this slow and don't use a too big of a spatula, and really look at what you're doing. Take it slow. And don't go in deep into the bowl. And of course, the powder needs to be worked from the bottom. What you see now is that it's the putty is getting stiffer and stiffer, and I think the chalk powder has been worked in good enough, and now it's time to take it out of the bowl. And next step is that this batch is worked by hand, kneaded by hand. It's almost like bread dough, but this has a different, much different consistency. It's not as easy as bread dough. And this is more or less what you're looking for. And you take a bit, you roll it, and it should feel a little sticky, but it shouldn't stick to your hands and fingers. Your fingers should get clean. I think this is good to start working outside on the ship. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope you have fun with making your own putty. And if you have some improvements, please send us your video, and then maybe we can learn something from you.